Hi everyone, I trust your day is going great. You're welcome to today's tutorial. My name is Olakumbi and I'm here to teach you something so simple. It's a plain and pattern bodycon dress and we're going to use a stretchy fabric. But before we jump into the tutorial, I would like to welcome first-time viewers to my channel. Nice to have you. Please don't leave without subscribing, sharing, liking, or you can just leave me a comment. To my subscribers, just to say a big thank you to you. I love you guys. Okay, now let's dive in. We need to draft our pattern, so I've gone ahead to make the horizontal lines. From the starting line, I've placed shoulder to bust point measurement, shoulder to waist measurement, and shoulder to hip measurement. Then the full length, which is 40 inches, then I added 1 inch to make it 41 inches for the hem allowance. On the starting line, mark 3 inches neck width, then 3 inches neck depth. Use your curve ruler, make your curve, go down by 1 inch, mark for back neckline, make your curve as well. Next, you take your shoulder measurement. I have 14 inches divided by 2 will give me 7 inches, so I'll mark 7 inches. Go down by 1 inch, make a point there. Then from your neck width, connect that point to the neck width. So you find your armhole length measurement, which is bust circumference measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5. So I have a total of 7 inches. So I'll mark 7 inches. I'll just check if it's the same thing, 7 inches wide, and I'll adjust the point. Okay, I'll connect it, these 2 points together. All right, so that's our armhole length. Make a perpendicular line, and that has formed our chest line. Okay, the next thing you do is take a quarter of your bust circumference measurement, whatever you have, mark it, add 1 inch for side seam allowance. Take half of your armhole measurement, mark it, go in by 3/4 of an inch, mark it as well. Using your curve ruler, form your armhole to touch that point which you made on the chest line. Okay, so we have the front armhole. Next, place your tape on the waistline and mark 1/4 of your waist circumference measurement. On the hip line, mark 1/4 of your hip circumference measurement. We already added 1 inch side seam allowance on the chest line, so now we'll add 1 inch side seam allowance to the waistline and also the hip line. At the hem, you are going to transfer your hip measurement down to the hem as well. We measured 9.5 at the hip, so we will reduce it by 1.5 inches because I want a fitted dress. So you mark 8 inches, then add 1 inch side seam allowance. Pick your ruler to connect the markings. Remember, it's a stretchy fabric, so we are not adding that. That is why I didn't make provision for it. So go ahead and connect the markings together. Sorry, this point is the wrong one. I'll just mark the right point now. Okay, so we have the right point. You connect it right now to your hip and all the way to the hem of the pattern. I'll go ahead to create the back armhole. So from the chest line, I'll curve it all the way to the midpoint. Next, just add 1/2 inch shoulder allowance or joining allowance. So we are ready to cut out our pattern. Right here at the hem, I'll just make a line for the total length without the hem, which is 40 inches. Then I'll fold under the 1 inch hem allowance and cut out the pattern. And we'll be cutting out through the back armhole and neckline. Okay, so this is our pattern. So at this point, if you want to line the fabric, you can cut out your lining using this pattern, but I'm not going to be lining it. It's just for illustration, so I just want to show you how to do it. So you can cut your lining and keep it aside, okay? Okay, so then I'm going to draft out the design, okay? So I'll just use my pencil so that I can make changes wherever I need to. I'm just going to measure about 2 inches here on the shoulder line. Then open up the pattern and lay it flat so that you can create your design. You are free to create any design of your choice. It's only the concept of how to achieve the design on the fabric that matters, so get creative. Next, extend the horizontal lines because you need them as a guide. Okay, so I've extended the lines now. So I'll just see how I'm going to design it. So, using my pencil, I want to take it all the way to the side, about this area. Okay, let me just measure. So I think I'll leave it at this point here. Okay. So, from this point also, I'm going to take it this way. So I'll be making it about 3 inches wide, okay? So you can go ahead and use your curve ruler to make your curves. So guys, you see what we have, okay? So now that I have this, the next thing I'm going to do is to, first of all, I'll cut out my back pattern, okay? I'll cut off my back piece of fabric because I'm not going to be touching anything at the back. The back is just going to be plain. It's just the front that is going to have the design. So I'll cut out the back part. So I'm going to transfer the back pattern on the fabric. So this is our pattern. I already placed my fabric on fold. You can see it. This is the center fold. Alright. So, but I forgot to cut the bottom part when I folded it this way. I forgot to cut out the bottom part, so I'll cut it out first. Place the pattern on the fabric so that the fold on the pattern aligns with that of the fabric and pin it down, or you can trace out the pattern before cutting. Okay guys, so I'm done pinning. So I just want to mention that when you place your fabric on fold, make sure the stretch is horizontal. You see what I'm saying? Okay, it has to stretch to the side, okay, not this way, to the side. Okay, you see, so that it will be easy for wearing because it's not going to have any zipper. Now I can cut out the back bodies. So this is the back. I'll just put this aside. I'm going to open up. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out the design. Alright? So I'm going to be starting from the bottom area. I'll just extend this lines a bit. The next thing you're going to do is to cut out the front. Okay, so now that we're doing that, you open up your pattern this way. Okay, make sure you extend these lines because we didn't extend it earlier on. So you extend the line. Now I just want to make a little change here because I want the piece I'm going to cut to be a whole piece. I don't want it to be kind of connected to this part. So I'm going to make it sharp. Okay, I'm going to make it sharp this way. All right, so I'm going to cut it out. I'll stick this point together. I didn't fold in the 1 inch hem allowance, but make sure you do that before you cut. Now we're going to transfer it onto our fabric, but while we transfer it, we already have our allowance up here. We have our allowance at the shoulder, at the sides, and at the hem. So we're going to just add half an inch all the way through this way, half an inch also all the way through this way, and half an inch on this one. Okay, I'll show you what I'm doing now. So I'll start with this piece. I've marked half an inch all through this point. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to cut it out. Guys, before we finish cutting, I want to point out some places we have to notch it. Okay, I'm going to mark it first of all. Very important. It's going to help us while we're joining the other pieces together. Okay. So this point here. I'll mark this one as well. Just mark every point necessary. Just mark every point. We're still going to mark this side when we cut it out. Okay, so we have this. So, like I said, we're still going to mark this point. You can see a little bit of a chalk mark here, so you just mark it properly. Okay, so we have this done. So this is the second piece of the front bodies. I've marked the half inch at the side. Okay, so don't forget to place your pattern across the stretch. Okay, don't forget to place it across the stretch, and this is the wrong side. Okay, the same thing I did for that other one. I placed it on the wrong side. All right, so I'm going to cut it out now. This is the smallest piece of the front bodies. It is the piece that will carry the floral design. So I spread out my fabric and place the pattern over it. But I discovered I couldn't set it properly on the fabric, so I took another piece of front bodice pattern, placed it on the fabric to act as a guide for placing the smallest piece. Also make sure the lines on both patterns align together and pin them down, okay, so that you will not have problem when you are joining it. Okay, so the next thing I did was to measure my 0.5 inches allowance, and it's going to have another 0.5 inches allowance at the side here, because it's going to be attached to this part, and this one is going to be attached to the other part of the front bodice here. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and remove this. Since I've already placed this one to sit nicely, I'll pin this one down too. Now that I've pinned down the small piece properly, I'll just go ahead and remove the pins of the bigger pattern. When I'm done removing it, I'll add my 0.5 inches to the sides. So this is the 0.5 inches at the side, at both sides. I hope you can see it. So what I'm going to do next, make sure don't forget to mark all the points so that I can, guide you when you are attaching. You can use your scissors to notch it. Okay, you can use your scissors to notch it. So what I'm going to do now is to cut it out. Next, we'll attach this small piece to one of the other pieces of the front bodies. Let me just show you what I'm doing. This is the right side, this is the wrong side. Okay, this is the wrong side, this is the right side. So I'll just do this. Okay, so right side facing right side. The reason why you have to notch it and be careful also is because the fabric stretches, so you don't want it to stretch out of place. Okay, so you just take it gently, don't stretch it, don't stretch it. So you can see this notch, you align it together this way. So this is what it looks like after stitching it together. You can see it's beginning to come out beautifully. Okay, so you grab the other piece of the front bodies this way, place the right side facing right side. Okay, then you start attaching it from the hem. Now that it's all pinned in place, I'll take it to the machine to go and stitch both pieces together. See, I need you to see what I'm doing here. Okay, so this is going to go in by 0.5 inches here. I'll mark it. Let me use the blue chalk, 0.5. So just mark the end point. Okay, so we're going to make it, see where I marked, you raise it up like this, make it stand. Take this one also, make it stand and touch this stitch here, this stitch. Okay, so that it stands up, that's 0.5 upwards this way, making sure that the two places where we marked are aligned together. Okay, so when I've got that, once I've got that, I'll pin it. So you can see what I've done. Okay, you see, then you can continue pinning the rest. So I'll go right now and stitch it and show you how to do that. Okay guys, so I'm starting from the hem of the fabric. So guys, remember this part that we pinned the other time. So when we get to this part, I'll show you what we're going to do here. Okay, so this is the point here. So what you're going to do is you're going to lift up your fabric and stretch this part. Okay, you're going to stretch this part that you've already sewn. You're going to make sure that nothing is lying under. Okay, so you can see you stretch it out this way, completely flat, and you place this one flat out like this. Okay, do you get what I'm doing? This is it. So just, this is where you have your stitch. Okay, so just lay it flat. Then when you get to this point here, this part that I marked, you're going to run the stitch very close to the edge. Okay, you're not going to run over this one, but you're just going to run it so very close to the edge. Then continue the 5 inches sewing. I hope you're understanding what I'm doing. So you just continue stitching. When you get to this point, sew it very close to the edge, very close. So that's why you have to pull this out, pull it well, so that I should have ironed it, but no problem, you can still do it without ironing. Okay, so I'm going to continue stitching. Okay, so you see it's very close. You can take it gently. Okay, so I've gotten to that point. So from there, you can keep stitching ½ inch until you come out. So you can see it. You can see I'm just so very close to the edge there. I hope you can see what I've just done. I'm so very close. Okay, so I'll just continue stitching this way. Continue stitching. That's just it. Okay, so this is what we have. So can you see what it looks like? So this is the point where it connected together, guys. So that's just it, guys. Very simple. So you can put your lining. You can turn it over with your lining, or you can put your facing. But right now, I'm just going to use a facing for this one. Alright? So guys, this is what it looks like. Came out really nice. So what you're just going to do right now is to turn it over and iron it straight. Then you can also notch it so that it will rest very well. Okay, so I'm going to notch it. This is the result after ironing, and be careful not to overstretch the fabric while working on it, so just be cautious. I have notched the edges so you can overlock it to make it look pretty neat. Then I'll be cutting out the front and back facing and attaching it to the neckline by 1/2 inch. So fold your front bodies in half, then take a piece of the plain fabric and place it on fold. Lay the bodies over it at the neckline and cut it out. After cutting it, we are going to trim it to make it round. So mark with a curve and cut it out. When you are done cutting, place right side to face right side on the neckline and stitch them together. You do the same thing for the back as well. So this is the front bodies and I've attached the facing. So this is what it looks like. Like I said, you can whip it. It's better to whip it than to fold it in so that it doesn't produce a mark outside. So you take it to the weaving machine to whip it, okay? Overlock it. So I've also done the same for the back. This is the back as well. So what I'm going to do right now is to lay the back over on top of the front bodies. Then I'll just use my pin to secure it. We are now going to open up the facing on the neckline. Then you will make both face each other on the right side, making sure they touch each other on the neckline so that it flows well after sewing, just like I am doing. Just watch what I'm doing. So pin it after you join them together, okay? You check it very well to make sure it's aligning before you pin it down. I will go stitch it by 1/2 inch, okay? 1/2 inch. Now I'll bring it back. I've joined it at the shoulder and I've ironed it out. Okay, so what we're going to do next is to turn it to the wrong side and we're going to stitch it down. Okay, so you take it to your machine, stitch it down. We left 1 inch for it, but before you start stitching, you can measure it because you want it to be fitted very close to your skin. So you measure it to be sure that you have just enough. If it's too much, you can go more than 1 inch, okay? So after you check your measurement and you see it's more than half, that's after you've removed your 1 inch at the sides. After you remove your 1 inch allowance and you see that it's still too much, okay, you can, whatever the excess is, for example, if I mark 1 inch, okay, I'll mark 1 inch here also. This is supposed to be my allowance, okay? So I'll measure what is left. Right now I have 15, about 15 and a half, okay? So that means it's still a lot more than what I need. I need just 15 inches. So I'll just increase this one a little by about 0.25. This one also by 0.25, you know. So that's what you're going to do to distribute it. So now I have 15 inches. So I'll take it to the machine right now and stitch it all the way down. This is our finished dress. I've taken it in by 1 inch at the hem. I've joined it on both sides, okay? Then for the sleeves, you can attach any sleeves you want, and if you don't want a sleeve, you can just finish it up with a bias or just fold it in. All right, so it's really looking so lovely. I really love the dress. Okay, so if you've enjoyed watching my tutorial, please give me a thumbs up, share with your family and friends. Don't forget to subscribe and put on your notification bell so that you get notified each time I put up a video. Thanks for watching. Bye. This is the finished look, guys. So make sure you take in 1 inch at the hem, then also attach any kind of sleeve you want to it. But it came out so beautiful. I really love it. So guys, if you've enjoyed my tutorial, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Turn on your notification bell so that you'll be the first to get notified each time I put up a video. Share to your family and friends. Leave me a comment and give me a big thumbs up. Thanks for watching, guys.